What's up guys, Jim Collector here, back again with another unboxing and review, and today we are checking out the hotly anticipated Darth Maul 2.0. Now this is the figure that I have been begging to get my hands on, and it's finally arrived. I did originally have the 1.0 version and the Sideshow version, which I thought had the better head sculpt of those two original ones, but that's why I'm so excited for this, because that new head sculpt on this one looks absolutely incredible. So guys, without further ado, let's get stuck right in. Alright, and here we have the box, and not much to write home about. This follows our standard kind of Star Wars packaging. We've obviously got this wraparound with Darth Maul there, a picture of Darth Maul on the side, and these things always get damaged in storage, so hopefully I won't do that. So yeah, our standard kind of box. This isn't a DX, so it is slightly different from the original one. You get a really nice slip cover on this. I absolutely love this. I say this every video, but I am so tempted to get this framed and pop that up as a poster, because that looks absolutely fantastic. And here we can see the figure itself sitting in all of that plastic clamshell, no foam, because again it isn't a DX figure this time around. Top tray is the figure and his accessories. Next tray is of course his blood fin and his cloak and other accessories. So let's get our first look at the figure. Now this is a voiceover, so I've seen this already, but the head sculpt, when you finally get this in hand, believe it or not, and this is part of probably, things that collectors say that Shane does over at 16 Figure Focus, but it looks so much better in hand. Absolutely blown away with this sculpt. The likeness is fantastic. The horns, by the way, incredibly sharp. I actually cut my finger filming this review, so be careful when you swap out those head sculpts, because it is a bit dangerous. Tailoring looks really good on this straight away as well. We're going to put him aside and we're going to go through and check out the different accessories. So the next, oh, I forgot about this, of course. We have the angry head sculpt, guys. How can I forget about that? This was the biggest pleasant surprise of this release. I think this angry head sculpt looks phenomenal. I wasn't a massive fan of the 1.0 angry sculpt. I didn't think it looked like Darth Maul much at all, but this one, they keep the likeness while giving him a snarl, an angry scowl maybe even, and that's really impressive that they've been able to do that. Alright, so we do of course have sabers. Now we have the USB lit up sabers here, so you get one double bladed saber, and it's really nicely painted. It looks pretty much the same as the un-USB one, and you do get a second one for when his blade's been cut in half, his hilt's been cut in half, sorry, which is a really nice addition, because I feel like they didn't have to do this, so I'm glad that they didn't kind of cut this out and ignore it and just give us the one saber. So that's really nice. And of course this does split in half like the original, and you can turn the shorter half into like his battle damaged lightsaber hilt if you would like to as well. Paintwork's really nice. It's got a nice chrome shiny finish to it. It looks accurate, so they've done a good job on that. Of course you do get the lightsaber blades that we see in every Star Wars release, the static blades and the swooshing blades. Then you do get his wrist gauntlet here for his left hand. I want to say left hand. If I'm wrong and it's right, my bad. This is quite nice. I do like that, and I actually quite like to have that on the figure all the time, even though it's not screen accurate. I just love how it looks. And here's one of his hands. Now I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see this is really nicely detailed. It is sculpted, but it does look like real leather gloves. So I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job on these overall. So good start. Now, package number 2, or layer number 2, we do of course have his cloak. And there are subtle differences to this cloak. Definitely subtle differences. So here you can see it. First of all, the hood is wired, which is nice. I'm glad that they at least included that. It opens up the same as before. It's nicely made. I have to say that I've got no real complaints, but you can see the biggest difference here is these kind of striped bits. They're a lot thinner than they were in the past. It is wired throughout as well. We're gonna find out later on about the hood. It is a bit of a faff to work with. It's not my favorite hood that they've done. I feel like the best hood they ever did was on Balin's Skull, and since then I just haven't had a nice hood on any of my Star Wars characters. But a bit of double-sided tape, guys, goes a long way in kind of shaping it how you want. But that is his cloak. So it's good. There are improvements which I like over the original. It does fit him a lot nicer. Onto the rest of the tray. So we do of course have his blood fin. which I didn't have the deluxe on the original, so this is the first time I'm experiencing the Bloodfin in all of its glory, I suppose. But there we go, it's our first look, and it is quite nice, guys, I have to say. It is all plastic, there's no pleather or leather or anything on this, it's all sculpted and molded. But it is nice, it does have light up functions, which we will check out later. My first thought's the sticker there on the screen. When it's not lit up, I feel like it looks a bit toyish. I mean, of course this is a toy, but it looks a little bit, dare I say it, Hasbro. Dun dun dun. But yeah, other than that, this is beautifully done. Really nice weathering throughout as well. Nice detail, it looks great. Has a bit of mobility through the handles. I did find his feet struggle to reach the foot pads a little bit though when I was posing him up, but maybe that's just down to user error, we'll see. But there's the Bloodfin. It's a really nice addition. I do like that I picked this up, and I really think it ties his character together from all the different versions of the Phantom Menace. Onto his display base. You get this sand bit, which I will never ever use. And then you get his this base here, which I actually quite like. A lot of people complain it's too large, but I like it. It is exactly the same. Let's peel off that plastic there. Satisfying. It is pretty much the same as the original. No changes here whatsoever, and it is prone to scratching on top. So just be careful and mindful of that. But I quite like this display base. It is a bit of a fingerprint magnet as well, so just beware of that. Alright, and then we do have the Sith probe droid. Again, no changes from the original. It's nicely done. It's a bit, I believe it's a bit oversized from what I remember from the film, which is the same as the 1.0 was also oversized. It is a nice accessory to have. He does fit a bit wonky onto that display base though, which is a bit of a shame. Then you've got his binoculars. These are really nice. This is an accessory that I like, that I would never use, just because I've never displayed him with it. But they're nicely painted, they're nicely done. They scream high quality. They're a good accessory that will be left unloved in the box, which is a shame. This is a tube which initially I couldn't figure out what it's for, but it is for the bike to put it in his base. So that's pretty much it for all of the accessories. You do of course have the waist grabber, and you've got the various light up bits so we can use his lightsabers as well. But now we're going to check him out in all of his detail. And there he is, out of the box, out of his plastic wrapping. This is the Darth Maul 2.0, and he looks bloody fantastic. I am absolutely loving this piece. So they've kept pretty much the same body. I think they have updated the tailoring that they've used. But the proportions look fantastic. I liked him on the original. I'm not sure if there's much of an upgrade there, but the true upgrade really does come with the two head sculpts. The difference between what we had before and what we have now is kind of where you're putting your money for this 2.0. So let's dive into them now. So this is the standard sculpt. I love this sculpt. I think they capture Ray Park's likeness as Darth Maul. I think the paintwork is a lot better. We haven't got the tattoos aren't like sculpted in now. They are painted as they should be, and the markings are a lot better. They're not quite as fat as they were in the original one, and they're a lot more movie accurate. Now, I'm not going to say they're dead on just because I haven't got the best eye for the minutiae details like that, but he looks absolutely incredible, and I'm really happy with this sculpt. Now, moving on to the angry sculpt, this is the biggest upgrade for me because I didn't like the original angry sculpt, whereas I love this sculpt. So I'm probably actually going to use this. I'm going to switch out between the two sculpts, but I'm probably definitely going to use this angry sculpt, whereas I didn't use it at all on the original. I think his face was too round. It just kind of lost the likeness when it transitioned. But here, I mean, even from different angles, this looks like Darth Maul as we saw him in the Phantom Menace, and it just looks really good, right down to Ray Park's earring stud that he did leave in. The one downside to the sculpt though is the coloration of the red paint. I do wish they'd gone for a more movie accurate shade. Now I just want to take a second to appreciate the boots because these are really nicely done, well detailed, but also the soft plastic means you can actually get some ankle articulation in these, which is really nice. And onto the belt, now I don't know, I think this is still pleather, but I could be wrong, but it does look really nice. onto the rest of his outfit. It's nicely tailored, it's well done, it is very similar to the original. In fact, I can't even tell if they're different. But they were great on the original and they're great on this figure as well, so no complaints there. One complaint though is going to be the wrists. Now the 1.0 had this problem as well, but I do find especially this wrist here, it pops up a lot, and that's because of the gauntlets and the kind of pleathery bit inside. It hides the joint, but it is a bit of a nuisance. Alright, time to check out the Bloodfin, and I love this. This is my first 1/6 vehicle technically in the collection, so that's you know, it's a first for me, so I'm quite excited about that. But this is a really nice piece. Now the light up functions, I would say, are actually pretty good, although depending how you display it, you're not really gonna see them, but they're a nice addition, and they do kind of add a level of realism to the vehicle, which is good to see, and it improves that kind of interface there as well. It looks a lot less toyetic, and here it is in low light as well. Gives off good light, and of course it is USB-C, which is an absolute win. Now that we've checked out the details, let's check out some poses, starting with a bit of a museum pose. The one thing I love about Darth Maul is you can go super dynamic and super stoic, and it just works because that's his character. Now this is a very detail friendly pose, I would say. You do have the blade extended behind him, which does give it space within that detail, which is nice as well, and he doesn't take up as much space this way, but that blade is quite long, so just bear that in mind. But this is a nice stoic museum pose that also creates a bit of power because he does have his hand raised up in a force gesture, and I just really like how this looks. Now, as I said, he is also a dynamic character, so I had to do something dynamic, and here we go. This is a bit of a battle action pose, I would say. The most impressive thing with this, guys, is that he's standing up there without any sort of waist or crotch grabber. That's just him balancing on his own, and that's how good the joints are on this figure. And just kind of bring it home, here he is spinning in this position on my turntable, and the fact that he can hold this, and this was a one try shot as well. I just whacked him in there and turned it on, and he didn't fall over once, so that is absolutely fantastic that he can hold this pose. Obviously you do have to make sure your balance is right, but really happy with how this pose turned out. And of course I had to get a pose on the speeder. I mean, why have it if you're not going to whack him on there? And he does sit really nicely on this. You do have to kind of finesse it a little bit because his feet did feel like they were just about reaching the stirrups, but they do fit well, and he looks quite good on the speeder as well. It suits really nicely. Sometimes figures, when they're like sitting on, they look a bit silly, but no, he fits quite well. He doesn't quite fit at the back perfectly, but I will say he turned out really nicely on this pose, and I probably won't display him like this, but if I wanted to, I could, because he looks pretty damn awesome. And for our final pose, we do of course have him back in his cloak with the Bloodfin behind him, and this is a really nice look. If you kind of want everything in your display, especially in the detail as well, you can kind of fit all of this stuff into that position, and it does look really nice. Onto the hood. The hood is definitely a faff, guys. It takes quite a lot of messing around with to get it looking somewhat good, and it's still not perfect even here, and that's just the nature of it, I think. I'm not sure how they could go about improving it. The wires maybe don't help as much, but a little bit of double-sided tape does help a lot. Alright guys, that about brings us to the end of our video. So how are we going to rate this figure? I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. There's just so much to like about this. I mean, the highlights are, of course, the updated head sculpt, the likeness massively improved, the tattoos aren't sculpted in, and that angry head sculpt keeps the likeness of Ray Park, making this a much better, and I'd say usable sculpt. Of course, the USB-C on the Bloodfin is a massive win. Posing is nice and easy, and there is improved tailoring that I've seen throughout the figure. And of course, as with any figure, there are some negatives, these being the reused base. It would have been nice to see something a little bit updated, and in fact there's pretty much no changes in any of the accessories at all beyond the USB powered Bloodfin. The hood is also a pain to work with, and the wrist joints keep popping out, especially on that left gauntlet. And finally, the neck connector. I do wish they kept the magnetic neck on the original. So guys, that brings us to an end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing and review. Are you planning to pick up this figure? Let me know in the comments below. And guys, this has been Jim Collector, and I'll catch you in a future video.